Okay, behind here where the top link shaft connects is what they call the hex shaft. And the hex shaft runs through the back of the tractor, and it runs through the oil pump. The gear in the oil pump has got a hex type shape shaft. I'm going to show you a picture of it. Here it comes now. Alrighty, so that's the picture of the oil pump. The shaft goes through it. It runs through the top shaft and out the front of the transmission. So that needs to come out before you can split between the bell housing and the transmission. If you're doing a clutch job, you may not have to move it. You might get away with it. But they say if you're separating between the transmission and the bell housing, that long shaft is small and there's a good possibility you could bend it. So you want to remove it here. The bolts were super tight and I couldn't remove them with my 1/2-inch drive impact. So I used a 15/16 socket and a large breaker bar on an extension breaker bar with a cheetah pipe, and got them all loose. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them now, and we'll go ahead and take a look. There we go. There's one. There's two. And there's four. The last one is already undone. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. There we go. Now, you see this screw right? That is actually behind here is the cap screw for that shaft. And you want to take that out. You want to get some pliers and then pull that shaft out of there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that done. I'm going to get my wrench and get that loosened up. Okay, now that we got the plate off that holds the top link, you have this plug right here, and it's a big plug, 1.25 inch. Shouldn't be very tight. They don't usually put them, it's just a plug. You have to pull that, take that off right there. Get that plug off of there and see what's in there. There we go, it's coming out. All right, and we can see the shaft in here. And this is it, right here. There's the shaft. So I'm gonna put the plug on the side for a second. We're gonna get some pliers. Now we're gonna see if we can remove that shaft that everybody talking about. Here it comes. They said to be careful with it. It's not too hard. Here it comes. Comes all the way through the transmission. All the way to the crankshaft of the engine. It's approximately 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet. Pretty dang long. All right, so we got this hex shaft out. Now we need to save it, keep it from rusting, leave it oily like it is. And we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Let's go ahead and shut that camera off for a second. I hope video came out. Okay. Before we drain the oil, we had to move the back stand. So for safety reasons, I had all the bolts out already. So I reinstalled a bolt here on this side and one on the other side. And that made it a little more secure for me getting underneath there and removing the rear stands. So now the oil bucket is moved, the stand's moved. We're gonna go ahead and remove these two bolts, then remove these bolts on each side. And after that, she should be ready to separate. So let's take a look, get these out real quick. the two bottom ones first. All right, let's see how we can get those out. And then we'll take the other two out and see how it comes apart. I got a wrench in my side. Okay, here we go. Up. 93/4. What size is that? Yeah, 3/4. Yes, 3/4. What size of socket we got here? What is this? 3 something. 7/8. My bad. Oh, the numbers are getting hard to read on them. 3/4 right there. Yeah, this looks like it. All right, let's try this again. Get these two out. Move these wrenches. It kind of hurts when you lay on wrenches on your side. Anyway. One out of there. Looks like we might need an oil pan. Might get a little bit of oil. Go get this one. Yeah, got those two out. That wasn't bad. Oh. Well, I think it's time for a joke. I had this little Indian boy, and he always worried about how he got his name. And so one day he went to his father and said, his father was the chief of the tribe, and his name was Sitting Bull. So he said, Dad, how did I get my name? And the chief Sitting Bull said, well, son, when Indian child is born, first thing the father does is he goes outside and looks around, and first thing he sees, that's what he names his child. So if he sees a stream, he will name him Running Water. It says something else, and that's how they get their names. That's how you got your name. He says, why do you ask, squatting dog? Okay, so we got them two bolts out. Now let's get the other two big bolts out. See how that works. There, we get the right size on there. 1.25 inches. We're going to take the other side out first. Look like we don't have enough oil right there. Okay, we're going to the other side. Gotta remove that. Don't lose any tools. I'll be right back. I'll let you know how it goes on this side. There we go. Oh. All right, let's see. One out of there. There's one. Oh, and here comes the oil. Oil's coming out. So obviously they have a little bit more oil in there. Once I move this one, and there'll be nothing left holding it, I hope. Well, let's check something here. Let's check. Let's make sure we get enough pressure on these legs. That one's good. Check the other one. We'll do a double check on everything here. All right, that's it. Right there. Now, safety check. All wheels chopped. Stands tight. Last bolt coming out. Along with a little oil. There we go. Let's see what happens here. Whoa, more oil. All right, here's the last bolt. Take all the tools out of the way. All right, let's check it out. Got to put all of it. I think this is these, man. Alright, this one's on. Okay. And I'm going to put this back in the box. Put the bolt back in here. Now, let's get the light on the subject here. Okay. Removing the front shock plug. I'm going to clean on this, move it forward a little bit. See some action. Action. Get action there. Take it a little bit. We have a little bit of separation on this side. We're going to do a little at a time. We're not in any hurry. The other side's got a little separation. This side don't. All right, where's that bolt that we missed? We'll have to go find it. Let's shake it a bit more. I know what I forgot today, my pry bar. Okay, we have a line right here. So it's cracks bigger at the bottom than the top. So I'm going to tighten up that stand. Then I'm going to tighten up these two stands. Oh. Maybe loosen the crank here. That'll lower front end or raise the front end. I don't know. Yeah. All right, shake it a little bit. Now we're going to tighten it tighter this time. Wiggle it. Wiggle waggle. Then we're going to go back and check, see if we missed any bolts. That happens. Crack's pretty much straight. We have about an 1/8 inch gap all the way around. So if you got a gap, that means you probably got all the bolts, right? We got to get it apart today. Lee might come by and inspect. Yeah. He's the inspector. Lee the truck inspector. Shake, shake, shake. What we got here? Let's see. Woo. Okay. Gap staying the same. I'm going to tighten up the back one a little bit. We're going to stop the video here just for a minute, and I'm going to check it out a little further and make sure we got all the oil out the way. And might have to go and get my crowbar. All right, we're getting apart slowly, and it's coming. Everything's looking good. We double checked everything. We're just gonna take our time, do it real slow. And we had to figure out a way to be able to pull it forward a little at a time. So we backed in the truck, hooked up a come along tie strap, and just doing just a little bit at a time. And it's coming apart just like that. So we're gonna crank on it a little bit more and see how it goes. All right, like that. All right, keep your eye on that. I'll start cranking a little more. just about out. All right, we're gonna have to stop for a minute and then we're gonna go check out everything, make sure nothing's hitting. All right, we found one thing that was in a bind right here. This particular pipe was catching right behind there, so all I have to do basically is just pull it out. And here comes the clutch coming out, so I'm gonna crank on it a little bit more. Get it forward just a little bit at a time, because we're by ourselves. Now let's take a look at it, see what's going on back here. There she comes. It's almost out. Looking good here. What we got right here? Okay, that's not connected. Let me go check the other side real quick. Triple check every time. You don't want to break anything. Looking good on this side. This will come out some more. Actually, it'll come all the way out. And then we'll move these cables out the way. All right, so just crank down on it a little bit further. There we go. When you're by yourself, you have to figure it out yourself. Let's see. Chalks are right there. Check it one more time. Let's see. Yes, sirree. Looks really good. Can get those two bolts out up there. Into the lower. Yeah, we don't see them. Okay, we're gonna stop right here and check it out. That is it. It's all apart. All right, here's my 4230 Syncro range John Deere with a pneumatic clutch, and we did find that this bolt was broke off at the threads at the flywheel. Got 6 of them. And also on the clutch depression fingers, we found a bunch of slack in these pins. And looking in the parts book, there's supposed to be a retainer spring holding these on there. And all 3 of them, it's missing. I'm gonna have to find those springs. I can't find parts list for those. I'll have to go check it out at John Deere. Okay, this is one of the old clutch housing bolts that I just removed. And you can see right here, this is the Loctite, which was on the bolt. And you can see what was actually, how much of the bolt was it being held into the back of the flywheel portion. And none of this portion was being used. So that's a good indication to, and then this is where that big plate road is, right on these, on the threads here. And it is actually smaller than the shank. So that caused slack in this area right here. And then this is where they're breaking off right here. This is the 3-inch bolt that I'd like to use to hold the clutch on instead of the 2 3/4. If I use it, I will replace them all. It appears that the bolt from here the threads will go through here, and look at it. It looks like they're going to stop short of this, so it looks like this is not going to be a problem. But does it bottom out here first, or does it bottom out here first? You want it to bottom out here first. So I'm sure John Deere has a reason why they did not use it, because it seems to fit perfect. It screws all the way in. So maybe it's exactly the same length from here to there. So there's probably no other reason. So this is what I'd like to do is, I know the service manager doesn't use washers, but I would like to use a washer just for safety reasons to move it back. Okay, if I move it back just enough, part of the shank will still be inside of this plate here. It actually will give me, I counted, another 4 or 5 more threads screwing into here. And when I add this washer, that it's not going to bottom out on this end. So that's what we're going to do. Today I'm going to let you know what I figured out on the clutch, and also I'm going to let you know about this extraction bolt and what I'm going to do for that, how I extract it, and I'm going to use a little bit different bolt on it. Went to John Deere, local John Deere here in South Louisiana, spoke with the shop manager and told him I have all this slack in my pins and y'all rebuilt it 5 years ago. What's the deal with that? He said that is normal. He said that in the service manual, they show a picture of the clutch with retainer springs on this right here. He said that picture is wrong, and he said, I don't know where they got that picture from. He said only in the higher horsepower tractors that they have retainer springs in here. He said, believe it or not, these pins are super hard. He said, what happens when you start the engine, they sling themselves up against the housing like this. He said, don't worry about them, that's normal. Okay, next thing I asked him about adjusting the PTO clutch, because the main clutch seems to be adjusted. I'm going to check it, but I don't have a clutch adjustment tool to check the proper thing, but I'm going to make sure they all within tolerance. The PTO clutch right here, this one's got slack in it. This one has a little bit of slack. This one down here has 0 slack. So I asked him about that, and he said, do what we do. We use a flathead screwdriver. He said, slip that underneath between the bolt, and that should give you enough slack to do all 3 with just a flathead screwdriver. He didn't say which one, like a number 2 flathead screwdriver or whatever, but I believe that is what he's talking about. So that's what I'm going to do. And as far as for this broken bolt, he said he's had to take out several of them before, and you can just take it right out through this hole right here with an extraction tool. So I'm making some changes. I'm going to use a little bit longer bolt. I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to make that work. And this bolt is only held in by 4 threads. Now, get the bolt out. That's number 1. I bought an extraction tool kit from Amazon. If I have time, I'll put a picture up here for you. They had went all the way up to a 1/2-inch bolt, but they use left-handed drill bits, not right-handed. So left-handed keeps it from screwing the screw in tighter. So I took the left-handed drill bits, which was 3/8 inch diameter. It fit in the hole perfect. Brought it up to the drill bit and just shaved off the end of the bolt. The end of the bolt was all broke off, and there was no flat surface, and it would be almost impossible for me to be able to drill through the center and get it right. So I took the 3/8 inch left-handed drill bit, put it in here, drilled just a little bit to get the bolt flat, and it also made like a little slight indentation in it and had a center point. Then I took the correct size drill bit, which is actually smaller than the hole because it has to fit inside of the bolt so the extraction tool can grab it and pull it out. So on the smaller drill bit, I wrapped it with Gorilla Tape. I put a micrometer on it to make sure I had 3/8 of an inch and put it up in there, and that made it straight and made it in the center. And I drilled just a little bit, pulled it out and checked it. Now to check it, you can't get in there with a light and look because your eyeball's in the way. So I used a little bit of mirror, a little tiny mirror, borrowed it from my wife's makeup kit. I'm gonna have to return it. Got a flashlight and held the flashlight up to the mirror so I could see and make sure that I'm drilling in the center of that bolt. And then I went on and drilled it further the second time, cleaned it out with the air hose. The chips fell down into the pan on the floor, and always put this bolt down. If you have it, put it down into the bottom. Make sure the trips will not get any metal into the clutch itself. So the third time I went in there and started drilling, my drill backed up. I said, whoa. So I pulled my drill out, and on the end of the drill was the piece of the broken drill bit. And believe it or not, only 4 threads are held on. And the rest of the threads are in this other plate, and they're not screwed onto anything, and that's where it breaks. But I'm gonna show you that in just a minute. I made a little video on the bolts. If you don't have this problem, skip it. Just keep on moving on. Just fast forward to farther in the video, and then get to the rest of what you need to see in your project. Alrighty, thank you. Let's move on. This is the last bolt, number 6, in the clutch housing. And in these holes, in the bolt holes, I find that there's a lot of oil, and you want the Loctite. You have to use Loctite. I'm using blue Loctite. And it doesn't specifically say. I'm not sure if they use red, but it looked like there was red Loctite on the other one. But I'm using the blue. To get the oil out, first thing I did was I sprayed some engine degreaser in the hole. I made sure that the hole was down here at the bottom so it doesn't go all over in the clutch. And after that, I blew it out with the air gun, and then I sprayed in some carburetor and choke cleaner in the hole to get the engine degreaser out. Kind of clean it out. It has to be really dry so the Loctite will work. Then after that, I sprayed a little starting fluid in the bolt hole, and that dried it up real well, and I blew it out after that. So I'm ready to install the last number 6 bolt, and I checked it to see how many times it would go around, and it screws in 11.5 rounds with the washer that I'm using on it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I have started a little bit, so it's actually around 11 or 11.5. So that actually gives it a lot more threads. And now we're going to torque it along with the rest of them. And these bolts are torqued to 35 foot-pounds. We're using a foot-pound wrench, 9/16 socket, and then we're going to torque it. Going to move it to 35 foot-pounds. Here we go. That's it right there. 35 foot-pounds. They're all done. Take a look at them. There we go. Okay, so all those are in. Next thing for me to do is finish up. I'm going to adjust these PTO levers, and then I'll check the clutch clearance, and then we're going to go ahead and stab it back in. 22, 23.
Ta-da!
And there it is,
24.
24, 6 guys and 24 fish. We had to take them all out, count them. Make sure we weren't over, make sure we weren't short.